Today is Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 45 Week 11.
This episode's titled, This Game Rips Your Heart Out, spoken by Emily at Tribal Council. It's all about the feels. It's the feels. Previously on Survivor, Austin gave an idol to Julie, and they're going to target Bruce. And Bruce is gone, and Emily is really happy. I shortened that a little, but that's pretty much it.
I didn't write it at all. I started with the night 19.
Yes, after Tribal Council, celebrate good times. Bruce gone.
Yep, that's pretty much what was happening.
Yeah.
They were literally, I guess that makes more sense because they don't really get to talk until they're back where they can be recorded.
Right.
And so they have to hold that in. Though you think they really do on the ride?
Yes, there are people with them to encourage them, but I do think there are gestures and little dances that are happening, although a lot of that trip's probably mostly in the dark.
And Katurah was off by herself, and she's like, oh, Bruce is not lecturing me or micromanaging everyone.
I like that. Do you hear that silence? Yeah. That's him not telling me what to do. Every beat of the day. No idol. Wow. He didn't play his idol. Oh, my goodness. Emily couldn't help herself here, huh? That's my assessment of this.
Oh, as soon as that was out of her mouth, I thought, what is she thinking?
Yes. Let me take credit. All hail
Let me tell you
mighty play.
Exactly how I fooled him.
Yes. I made him think it was just like it was with Kelly.
And that Julie lied. Julie like Kelly did. And
she's coming for you. She's not with you.
She didn't think that would, number one, have any repercussions.
Julie didn't miss a beat. She said, you're mighty sweet, but you're dangerous.
And then, in Julie's confessional, she's like, she's brilliant.
Yes.
She planned all that. And now she's my number one big threat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and time to get Emily out. Well, Emily, what did you think when you said that? She didn't think that was the...
No, she needed an ego boost.
She needed someone to say,
recognize.
Before you speak, think about what you would feel if that person said it about you and how you would feel inside.
Mm-hmm.
She might get that at that point, but I just was so shocked that she did that.
Look at me. I'm a mighty fine Survivor player.
I thought, what? Can you imagine if she had made it to the final three and telling it then?
Right.
At
the
final
impact.
three.
Yeah.
The impact that would have had.
Nope. Needed some recognition right now. Night 19.
Okay, well
Look what I did.
that was probably the biggest shocker for me.
Yeah.
Of the night was that she did that.
There's an underlying theme through this whole episode, which is these are not the strategic masterminds we were looking for. Not a single one of them. That's my takeaway after this episode. It's like, let's have fun watching, but we're not going to get brilliant gameplay from this bunch. That was my last hope, I think. So, yeah, the bar's low. Well, we see Drew and Austin and Dee and Julie all down at the beach while the others are settling in to get some rest.
Talking about, man, they hadn't tried to break us up, and look at us.
Drew said, we dismantled them. Just quick to jump in there and take credit for Emily's work that she just announced, huh?
Yep.
He said he didn't know that it could happen, but they reached the majority at Final 7. So And is this the Final Four? I thought I saw everybody say yes, but I wasn't sure about Julie. Did Julie actually chime in on that?
I don't know.
Anyway, they were feeling pretty proud of themselves. And to have that alliance so tight and not have people coming for it is an accomplishment.
I just thought, well, I hope nobody's listening. Somebody could be in the bushes there.
Yeah, but they weren't. They were all settled in, going to get some rest after that celebration. And then Austin and Dee hang back on the beach, and we learned that was the first time Dee got to see the Milky Way.
And that they definitely have an attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're making plans for, or at least Austin is, making plans for after the game.
Yeah.
And how they're going to get together. He's going to go see her, et cetera, et cetera.
Telling us what a calming presence she is.
And how nice it is to have someone you can truly trust. I thought, okay, you're moving into danger territory there.
I did expect a lot more for him, but this tells you, this is just like another indicator for me that this is not your great survivor mind. He came into the game wanting a Rob Amber scenario to happen for him. Actually, he's been thinking about it for years. That was like one of his...
Well, he said in the interviews that he definitely was open to a
right.
showmance, whereas Dee tells us, I said no showmances. None. She said, but she said it doesn't mean I can't have some fun.
Right. Her friends told her that she might find her husband.
Yep. And like you said, he wants to find his Amber.
Yes, he does.
So I'm thinking he's thinking she's his Amber. But I'm not sure she's quite as invested, even though there is an attraction.
We didn't get the reciprocating part because they do some hugs there right at the end. And then Austin tells us if it's not me, then I would prefer it be her.
Well, and what does she think about most? Them there on the beach and this.
That was good, yeah.
I was like, oh, no.
That worked.
Though
she sunk the hook even deeper then.
Yeah, though it's not true because we see her thinking a lot of other things.
Yeah.
You know, in her confessionals. So,
okay,
they are struggling with it.
Yeah, next morning, Jake is sad. Sad Jake. We've seen quite a bit of sad Jake.
Out on the beach by himself again.
Yep.
Counting. He's had 7 votes.
Hoping it ends here.
Then Katurah came out, and she didn't understand what upsetting the apple cart.
Yeah.
She'd never heard that.
Hadn't heard that phrase. Well, we're going to find out why here in just a minute.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I thought it was very odd then, but now I understand.
In hindsight, you get to see how it makes sense.
And even her saying, oh, I'm down to work with lawyer Jake for the next 3 votes. She keeps talking about him being a lawyer, and every time
she's still working that. She sustained it.
I know. That amazes me that she hasn't said anything.
Julie comes down to join him on the beach, and then I don't remember exactly. Was she telling them her backstory like she was telling us? I think she was, right?
I thought so, yeah.
That was the impression I had.
Yeah, she was telling them.
We get a lot of it from her in a confessional where she starts telling about her story about her parents pulling her out of school in the 5th grade and telling her she was going to be homeschooled, and then finding out within about a week that
she'd not be schooled
she was
at
on
all.
her own. Yeah, so no school at all. And her family had basically joined a cult, she tells us. So she ends up working. She ends up being put to work. Yep.
Yeah. Well, great for leader of the cult, but right up until the leader of the cult decides she should be one of his new wives.
Yep.
Or a new wife or whatever.
So she said the mom that she had to break contact with. I wonder if she had to break contact because the mom went back into that group or something. That would seem very likely.
She didn't.
But the mom woke up at least for a little bit and got her out of there. Packed 2 trash bags and they ran in the middle of the night. And so she ends up back at school at 14 in high school.
How does that even happen when you've missed all those years of school?
They have remedial programs, so I imagine she got some help. She must have had some really good teachers looking out for her to get her back on track, given all that she's accomplished since then.
She's exceptionally bright.
Well, both, yeah.
I would say a little both.
And she said at 14 she made a plan.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing that she wanted to help other people of color and that maybe afraid that other people were caught up in what they were caught up in.
Right. Living the dream now. I had kind of a nothing like this, but I did make a plan when I was 12, and I executed on that plan to get me where I needed to be. Has nothing to do with cults or anything like that, but I distinctly, when I was 12, I made a plan for what my future was going to be and what I was going to focus on and how I was going to get there. And like her, academically was a big part of my plan.
I was just trying to figure out who's going to take me to the skating rink.
Okay. Well, that too.
Not that I wasn't good in school, I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wasn't thinking about any of that. I was a hard worker, so I never doubted that, I would just get a job. But I certainly didn't. We didn't have any money, and I never really even considered, thinking about anything like that,
Right.
Getting to the skating rink and who was going to be there. That was probably about it at 12.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm not comparing myself to her other than I have a similar experience in terms of setting that plan at a young age and then executing to it. What she did was miraculous, the way she was able to overcome all that and all the dreams that she's been able to realize. That was inspirational for sure.
Well, you did pretty well too, baby, so...
Yeah, I'm just, I was afraid when that came out that it came out the wrong way. But I was just meaning having to set a plan at a young age to change your circumstances and then execute to that. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
Here comes a boat.
Still day 20.
Yep.
They're all resting.
Yeah.
It looked like they were just getting comfortable.
They were settling in for a nap, it seemed like. A rest day.
And here comes a boat.
Because they've been going, right?
Yeah.
They've had challenges back to back to back.
Yeah. They're, like you said, they're not getting as much rest as the seasons with 39 days used to, where they'd get bored, and I don't know if these people have enough time to get bored. Okay, so the boat shows up. The man hands them a note, and one person has to get on the boat. One
person journey here with 7 left in the game, and then
Jake wants to go. Other people do too.
Yep.
So
they planned for that. Let them draw rocks. Green rock goes. Emily ends up with the green rock.
Okay. Now, Emily was upset that she got the rock, like she didn't want to. Why didn't she just not do it? Why didn't she just say, "Oh no, you guys go ahead. I don't really care about."
Well,
going.
It can backfire, but you also know you need an advantage. So I think she's just kind of torn a little. She did overreact when she got it, especially when you know that all the other people are saying, Austin and Jake and the others saying they wanted to go too. So you're not doing yourself any favors when you grab it and go. Oh, great.
They're going to be mad at me when I get back, and they're not going to trust me, which is true.
Julie immediately comments in confessional, says, getting a journey at this stage could be a huge advantage.
But she also said, well, she didn't really want to cut Emily. She was talking to Drew. But, she's getting a great resume, and she made Drew's like, she made a big move last night, and getting to go today.
Threat level at high, yeah.
But then Drew goes off in his confessional and tells us that Julie is a really big threat because she's the mom. And
everybody loves her.
And that she's holding on to Austin's idol.
Yeah, we get the explanation. Austin's blunder, he calls it. Yeah, we didn't know at this point how bad it really was. It was actually the worst case scenario.
Yeah. Well, he tells us that a little bit later, but we might as well go ahead and say it. That he gave her the one that was good to Final 5 instead of the one that was good to Final 6.
Yeah.
He just wasn't thinking at all. I think they were so locked in on the 4 getting there and getting control that all he thought about was she was so upset that she wasn't in a group that she could get sent home. And he just wanted to, he probably thought, oh, and she'll give it back to me. No, she won't. You gave it to her.
You don't often see this. So
she's like, he gave it to me.
It's mine.
I thought it was weird even.
I like he called it the Gollum ring too, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Putting a little of my precious on it. What did you think about his pitch? That was kind of odd, wasn't it? It was really awkward when he was talking to Julie there at that point.
About,
he said,
does she
hey,
want
you want to try some tricky idol play and win some points? And
yeah, that didn't do him any good, because she immediately was like, well, one of the four of us really wants to make a big move. It's Drew.
Right. What happened to Final Four?
He's very sneaky about it.
Yeah.
And I now don't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't do him any favors at all.
No,
so,
she shut him down quick, too.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't think he handled that very well. He's not as smooth as he thinks he is sometimes, I think.
Yeah, he thought he was all Basil, but he was definitely Drew.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie takes that to Dee right away. Hey, Drew's asking me about the idol, trying to get me to play it.
And they talk about how close he is with Emily, so obviously that's not being hidden.
Nope.
Not as well as the four hid how tight they were.
Yep. And they both acknowledge that if there's a crack in their Final Four, it is Drew.
Yep. And that they should go after Emily, but she might come back with an idol. So they're concerned about that.
Cut to Emily's journey. She has to walk along the beach for a little bit, trek down the coast. And then we see the same puzzle that they tackled in the Sweat and Savvy Challenge in the beginning, first episode.
Well, and as she was walking up there to it, she starts thinking about, it's time for me to start deciding on the end game. I need to start thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks a little bit
earlier. You really missed the window there, kiddo.
He talks a little bit about her learning to have softness in her communications and helping with the connections she makes with people, and how she planned to use that after the game as well.
What a contrast, though, with how she behaved after she returned from tribal council.
Yep. Okay, but all righty.
Yeah.
So the task, she didn't think she'd be that good at.
No, and it's the same timed kind of component to the challenge that caused her mind to go blank.
Yeah.
Just a couple of days ago.
I don't do well with on-the-spot stuff.
Yeah.
I do that same thing. It's just like, no, I know even if they ask a question and I know it, but it just will not come into my consciousness in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All I can think of is, I'm running out of time, or something like that. So I understand that. I have that too. So she decided not to risk her vote, that her vote was the most important thing. Okay.
So this ends up being a big fat nothing burger.
Yep.
She just turns around and goes back to camp, keeps her vote.
Then we go back to camp and see Julie telling Katurah, Emily has got to go. And then Katurah's like, yep. Now, Drew and Jake and Katurah are talking, and Drew asks them, who would you bring into your final three?
Mm-hmm. That was an interesting question.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I liked how he approached that conversation.
Yeah. And they gave him... Drew ended up telling him, he thinks that Dee and Julie, he didn't just say Julie, he said Dee and Julie are big threats, and he thinks Julie's the biggest threat and that they really need to get her out.
And Jake chimes in and says he's down for Julie to go.
Yep, and Katurah also thinks Julie should be first, and that she has finally decided it's now time to step up her game. And
okay, now that she didn't have to spend all her energy hating on Bruce.
Yeah, that did absorb her thought process every day, it seemed like, till day 21 when Bruce went out, or 20, whatever.
19.
19.
This is 20 and 21, a 2-day cycle in this episode. So we see Katurah talking to Austin. Good on her.
That surprised me to see her talking to Austin for some reason.
We hadn't seen that before, yeah.
Yeah, and...
Who do you not want to sit by? She said, Dee and Julie.
Yeah, and though he didn't react too much, which surprised me, but she did follow that up saying, and I think Mama J's the biggest threat. We need to get her out first, and then Emily. So I'm sure that put him at ease that she wasn't saying Dee right away.
Right. Well, he did agree on Julie.
Yep.
Even though he loves her. Yeah, she's going to have to go.
So then you see Austin and Drew back together, and he told her what Katurah said about wanting Julie next, and he said, but that's going to upset Dee, so he's thinking Emily first. But
yeah, Austin's pitching Emily, which is not what Drew wanted to hear.
Keep the four together, but Drew was like, no,
Emily's better for us.
Julie's up next.
Julie. Yeah.
Well, Emily's in his side alliance.
Right. And Austin has a quandary. How do I tell Dee? Or do I not tell Dee?
Well, I thought it was really interesting when Austin said blindsiding Julie may mean blindsiding Dee, and that would really hurt me.
Right.
But he didn't say he wouldn't do it.
Yeah. This is the part 2 where he tells us that he actually gave Julie the idol that was good to Final Five.
Yeah.
We see Emily return, and she tells everybody about the journey, and Drew says, good call, you handled it well, and Dee says, I don't believe you.
Well,
not to
Julie
Emily.
Didn't either, but
in a confessional, Dee says, I don't believe it. And Emily thinks it went well.
Yeah. But then she talks to Drew and Austin and said, okay, what's been happening?
Yep. Tells her Julie wants you out. Then they have to.
She's like, well, then no problem. Julie's next.
Let's blindside her. Yeah.
And if she's targeting me, she's next. And so Katurah tells Emily, oh, yeah, gotta vote out Mama J. Mm-hmm. But we cannot tell Dee. And they were very excited that they were on the same page.
Mm-hmm. So much so that Katurah declared her love. I love you.
Yep. All right. Day 21, finally.
Yep.
Immunity challenge.
Immunity and a reward. A combo.
Yep.
So they're all attached to a rope, and they've got to gather rope to work their way through some obstacles.
While untangling it around every obstacle.
Right. They've got to gather enough rope so that they can complete the challenge, which means going through some obstacles and then untying a bag, getting 3 sandbags, throwing the sandbags at some blocks. And then once they've knocked all the blocks off, they have to assemble the blocks into a puzzle that spells the same word on the front and the back.
They have to have enough rope to get to the other side to retrieve any bags that they may need to.
Or blocks, yep.
Yeah, well.
Which this is the classic aspect of this challenge. How much time do you spend gathering rope? And we saw some people put extra time in up front, and then some people have to go back and get more rope, and then go back and get more rope, and then go back and get more rope. Well, so it really ends up being a challenge.
That's how you know how much you need, though.
Yeah. It really ends up being a challenge between Drew, who actually got there first, surprisingly, and Austin.
Yep, and the reward part of the challenge will be a barbecue back at camp. The hot dogs and burgers and all the fixings. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly like that. I would rather they had sent them to the sanctuary so that the girls didn't have to smell all that cooking. That's just mean.
It costs extra to send it over to the sanctuary. They can save some money by just doing it right there at camp.
They sent the girls, so they should have sent the guys.
Well, they blew the budget there. This was the reduced package where you only have it at camp, but it's intended to be that way too.
Alrighty, Jeff says go, and everybody starts collecting enough rope to get to the end of the course. And there, he tells them you will be attached to that rope the whole challenge. So
Emily and Dee,
you get it tangled up,
had a really hard time.
Yeah, well, Julie did too. Drew was like, he gets to the end first. He's like, holy cow, I'm in the lead.
Surprised himself. Yep.
I like that, how he's like, oh, holy cow, I'm in the lead.
We get to see Austin actually knock all the blocks off and get the puzzle together first, but he doesn't realize
it's like it just didn't sink in. And Jeff said it's got to be the same on both sides. But I said, why isn't he just looking on one side? Why isn't he going around the other side and looking? Because that's how you're going to figure it out.
He looked mentally stuck. Yeah.
But he did say when the challenge was over that he was stuck. He kept thinking he just misspelled it. It just didn't register in his brain in the midst of all that. It's just your brain does that sometimes. And so it didn't register until after Drew won. Then he walks around and goes, oh, okay.
I really thought he threw that so he wouldn't have to be the one to choose who went.
I didn't think he threw it.
But we didn't get to hear any follow-up to that effect, so probably he didn't, I guess.
Yep.
Because he was so far ahead.
You thought he was throwing other challenges, too, and that's why Bruce was winning.
That turned out to not be true either. Yeah, I've been trying to give him more credit, but now, no. With this episode, that's done. This is a subpar player on
you just tried to give him more credit.
Multiple levels. Well, I was describing how I did while I was watching. Not right now.
Okay.
My assessment of him has dropped.
Okay.
In terms of his gameplay, his efficacy.
But good for Drew. He finally gets the dang thing to stay up long enough.
Yep. He's excited.
For Jeff to call
everybody's celebrating.
And it's his first win, so everybody seemed to be happy for him.
Yeah, and he's got barbecue incoming. He's got to pick somebody to go with him. He picks Jake because they hadn't had anything for a while, and then he picks Austin to join. So it's another guys event this time, so they flip-flop.
Emily chose the girls last time, so he chose the guys this time.
Yep. Easy peasy, no hard feelings. Dee's nervous, she tells us, as they head out in a confessional, and she's hoping that the vote's still focused on Emily. And then Julie tells us that the way that Drew managed the barbecue for who was going to get that made sense, felt right to her, and the girls were going to have a spa day, so we see them out talking in the water, and Katurah tells us, though, that it's awkward. They end up talking about buffs.
Well, what are they going to talk about? Like she said, they can't talk strategy because half of the people want Emily to go and the other half want Julie. So what have they got to say to one another? They
end up agreeing that they'll vote Jake. Nice. And we see the guys over at the barbecue reward chowing down on some great big burgers.
Yep. I thought, I wonder if they'll make themselves sick with that.
Probably.
And especially, they were really eating rapidly.
Yeah. Drew tells us it's time to talk to Jake. They've had their differences in the recent past, but wants to get him on the same page.
Well, he wants to build some trust with him, too, because they were, it wasn't that many days ago, they were at each other.
Right.
Heavily.
Day 19, yeah.
So it's only been a few days, and he decides, well, I need to build some trust back up with him because I may need him. So he's willing to talk strategy and, bring up, let's get Julie out first.
Who do you want to take out Jake? Jake offers Julie. Okay.
Yeah, but Jake did recognize that they need my vote this time. That's why I think this will work because they actually need my vote.
I liked his analogy. Instead of playing a tree in the children's play, he's going to have at least a supporting role. Yeah. Maybe be able to say something this time. Yeah.
But again, Drew points out we have to keep Dee out of the loop.
Yep.
Because in case she freaks out and
messes up the plan.
Messes it up, which of course she did. And, of course, Austin told her anyway. So, who's he closer to, Drew or Dee at this point?
Yep, he's looking for his Amber, so Dee wins.
I guess so.
He's feeling uneasy, and he's got to tell her.
Undecided. Do I tell her? Do I not? Yes, I will. So, Dee's the one that said to Austin, though, want to talk? Let's go talk. So she must have suspected something was up and she needed to get information from him. So he does tell her.
Yep. Strong movement against Julie.
Well, Dee started out first because he was hesitating, and she said, okay, well, let me tell you what we decided. We decided Emily's out, but I don't think that's what you guys discussed. And then he admits it and tells her that, well, everyone wants Julie first. And Dee was honest with him about, I will not write her name down or yours. And yet, Austin, you might want to look at what she wrote down. She did write it down, even though she told Julie she was, but still. Anyway, Dee feels like it's too soon.
Yeah, she's on guard. She's trying not to show emotions, which Julie would pick up on immediately since Dee probably quite frequently shares her emotions.
Well, and Austin said, if we tell Julie to play her idol, our games are blown up. Everyone's going to hate us for it, and et cetera, et cetera. And I really thought Dee meant it, that she wasn't going to go tell her in that moment. And Then the next thing is she's telling her,
Yeah.
you have to play your idol.
Yes.
Oh, and Julie, I told you she could get fired up. And she was a little fired up.
Yeah, we see her talking to Emily and Jake, and she shares her target is Austin. And tells them, she tell them or just us? She's going rogue. I think she was telling them, right?
Yeah, she was. Yeah. I'm going to go rogue. And she wanted them to vote for Austin, and how would they feel about that? And part of the reason she was upset, she said, was that there's so many easy names. But then, she was wanting Drew out too. But she couldn't because he won.
He just won immunity.
But wouldn't she have gone after him too?
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
Would have been her first choice, I think.
That's normal to not see it that way when you're in the midst of they're wanting to vote me out. It's like, why are they coming after me with all these easy votes?
So we see Julie talking to Emily and Jake, and then we see Emily and Jake talking to Drew, and they tell Drew, hey, Julie says Austin.
Yep.
So Drew goes to Austin.
Well, then he knows Austin told.
Yes. He's putting the pieces together.
You told her.
Yeah, we see Austin acknowledging that. I told Dee.
It's like, well,
and he tells us that he'll play the idol if things get crazy. So he'll play his. He was hoping to save it to the next tribal council when they get down to 6. But if things go crazy, he's ready to play his tonight too.
Then we see Julie and Dee, when Julie says, I want to take out Austin. Mm-hmm. And Dee was like, no.
He's my number one.
He's my number one.
Seems like she slipped pretty big there, right?
Dee.
Isn't Julie your number one also?
She did.
You said earlier. Yeah, you said earlier you had 2 number ones. Meanwhile, all through this, we got thunder and lightning in the background, huh?
Yep. And Julie's like, why not take Austin? It hurts Drew, and I can take out Dee's number one. She just said he was.
Right.
And I thought, but if you take out Emily, that'll hurt Drew too, and you won't alienate Dee.
Well, and you still got to get to final 3. So where's that going to leave you?
Yeah, she could alienate actually herself and Dee. Mm-hmm. If they took Austin out, then
tank both of them. Yeah.
Drew's just going to want to, gather the others and pick them off.
Right.
So,
and they can't both win immunity.
No, they can't. All right, night 21, Tribal Council.
The jury is surprised Drew comes in with the necklace on.
Yeah.
Kelly clocks that right away.
It's like they're really waiting. They're very anxious to see each week who has immunity.
What did you think about the differences? Probst asked him, is it getting easier or is it getting more difficult as the game goes on? Jake says, it's definitely more difficult.
Yeah, you get to know them and their families and what's going on in their lives. And both Drew and Julie are like, no, it's easier.
Well, Drew's almost seemed like it was meant to be a comeback at Jake because he talked about a wake-up slap.
Yeah, I kind of did a double take with that, like, what? But I believe that Julie's wanting to kind of let go of some of the mama stuff, and she's like, the first she's still working the jury because the first ones were very, very difficult.
They didn't seem to be buying it.
They didn't at that point.
Yeah. She's given herself permission to play.
Yeah. That at some point you have to accept that you have to do that and it has to be okay. So
Katurah jumps in with a classic tribal council answer. Well, it's different for everybody. You got to separate out your feelings and blah, blah, blah. Yep. Okay. Emily finishes it off with, hey, I know everybody but Drew brought their fully packed bags tonight. So you got a lot of people.
So nobody's very
prepared
secure
to exit. Yeah. People are on edge. What do you think about Probst busting Drew's chops a little because he gave a short answer? He must have been given just soliloquies to some of the
way they laughed.
Questions. Yeah, everybody responded, didn't they? Yeah. Even Austin turned around and looked at him and said, really? That's all? That's all you're going to say? So Probst teased him to say more. So he gives us some goofy historical reference and then says Bruce's name, which seemed to wake Bruce up. Yeah,
he seemed to be zoned out.
He was in a stupor over there,
he wasn't
not
listening,
caring.
And then he heard his name and what?
In his interviews, it sounded to me like he had a really hard time at Ponderosa. Things just didn't go well
you said that
for him.
He
so
wasn't
I wonder
treated well there.
if he Well, it wasn't explicitly said like that. It's just that he definitely must have had some tough discussions, and he wasn't. I don't know that he was welcomed happily. It wasn't let bygones be bygones. I think there were some heavy conversations had, maybe.
Exactly, and he was most anxious to know what Kelly meant by the things that they had said, she said, and so I imagine the reason it was even more rough on him might have just been the things that he had to look at, that they were just honest about the things he did and the way he acted. And it's like, and Bruce.
Then here's Drew saying that he was a big hinge moment in how things were going in the game.
Yep.
And wow, this must have been hard for him watching again this week. It's just a little tangent. Seeing them celebrate like that with it all being about him being gone.
Yes. Well, of course it is. I think probably the whole season has been. The
spotlight has fallen further off of him. His moment's gone at this point, pretty much. So just one more gut punch while it works its way to the end.
And then Julie takes the opportunity to tell us that she is forced to write someone's name down that I love as much as any of the others.
Yeah, equally tough choices is basically what she's saying. And
Austin says it really is hard for us to crush somebody's dream. And I'm sure that is, because a lot of people, that is their dream.
And did you say that? That's where we got the title from Emily in that. Julie and Emily are both basically saying the same thing, talking about the closeness. And then that's where Emily said, yeah, this game rips your heart out.
I did not say that.
Okay,
now Jeff switches over to another conversation about anybody nervous because there haven't been a lot of idols or advantages played in the game yet.
You liked what Katurah said, huh? How she finished that off?
Yeah, what was it she said? I don't know.
It was like you might catch a ricochet if someone plays it. You really
a ricochet
jumped on that.
vote. I liked that.
Yeah.
I thought, a ricochet vote. That's true. That does happen.
Well, and they did something different with the editing again this week. So everybody goes up to vote, and you get to see Dee's vote, Emily's vote, Austin's vote, Katurah's vote, Jake's vote, and they have all voted for Julie.
Austin's vote. Yep.
And they hide Julie's vote, so we don't know for sure who's going, but we know it's not Julie.
Yeah, it's like, okay, is it Austin? Is it Emily?
Right. Yeah, so they finish the vote and come back down, and then he asks if anybody wants to play an idol or an advantage, and sure enough, Julie plays her idol for herself, the one that Austin gave her.
And then, lo and behold, Austin did not play his.
So they held something back from us, was your thought.
Yeah. I think he would have played it had they not.
Somehow they convinced him.
Yeah. Or Dee told him that she was sure that she was going to vote him.
During the does not count votes, the jury's reacting, Jake's reacting, Emily and Katurah are reacting, but Austin and Dee and Drew, not so much.
Well, Julie's pretending that she didn't know almost that, she was going to get all those. She was hamming it up, I think, for the jury.
Yeah. So 6.
Yes, I was right to play my idol.
6 does not count. And like you said, even Dee voted for.
Does not count.
Emily is out. She gets 1 vote, and she's gone. And Julie says, I'm so sorry, 4 times, 5 times to her? What did you think?
She's still playing that.
Of the result? Are you bummed that Emily's out of it? We don't have the potential for an Emily win now?
No. I don't think I'm bummed, but...
Pretty great play by Julie.
Yes, it was. And
courtesy of Austin.
I liked, Austin made it possible by
giving her the best.
I did like how Emily handled it, and she had said, what an epic way to go.
Yeah.
It's not like she wanted to go, but I felt like she was accepting it right away, like,
sure.
Oh, okay. Well, and no, I'm not mad at Julie. I just wrote her name down.
I believe
most people are mad at them.
She felt like she was living on borrowed time from
day one.
Way back. Yeah.
And she was, and she played a good game, and she has nothing to hang her head about. So, other than the stupid move,
the real teacher,
she made
Sifu Caleb,
Julie.
Yeah. She took that Caleb training and just ran with it.
Yeah, she really did. And so,
even though she did shoot herself in the foot a little bit with that post-Bruce vote out celebration.
Yes, that was what got her.
Look at me.
That was the whole thing. I don't think they would have targeted her anytime soon had she not said that. It's like all of a sudden it was like they all homed in on, whoa.
They knew that there was some connection with Drew. They just... I don't know that they saw it as big a threat,
or saw her as big a threat.
Right.
But she sure highlighted it, and they jumped on it. So, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Even though once again I have a 3-point week because
it's tough. Yeah, definitely tough at this stage in the game to manage your safe points when you only get 6 of them.
Yeah, I was not. Well, I had safe points. I still have enough safe points on her for the rest of the game, but I didn't on other people. So
Yeah, you'll make choices to try to manage your safe points, and sometimes that bites you.
Drew safe 4 times and Jake 5 already, I think. But anyway, I'm doing, I think, fairly well. It's just if the people I think is going to go to the end.
So do you think there's any repairing the Reba 4, the OG 4?
No.
Yeah, they kind of splintered at some point.
No, I think...
What advantage do you think that offers for Jake and Katurah? Jake's thrilled he didn't get a vote this time. So what a break.
Yep. I don't know how that's going to go because that really puts them at a 3-3. If Drew totally splits off, even from Austin, I could easily see him being just as mad at Austin because Austin told Dee and blew the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't blame him for that. I don't understand why he's so angry at Julie. He was targeting her. Why be that angry?
Yeah. Well, let's go to next time on Survivor.
Okay.
Austin tells us that was an absolute disaster. Julie and Drew are at war with each other, and we see Drew hurling the lid to their cooking pot.
Why? That makes no sense.
People do that to be seen.
Temper tantrum.
That's a look at me moment. Yeah.
I'm mad. I don't care.
Yeah.
Be mad somewhere else.
We see Katurah talking to Jake. They're saying time to blindside somebody. And Jake tells us that he is a wolf in goat's clothing. So Jake is familiar with Survivor terminology. He knows what a goat is at Tribal Council.
Yep.
He knows that people are thinking about him as a goat, but he still wants to believe he's a wolf. So good for him. Don't give up, Jake. Keep fighting. Maybe you'll find a way forward through all this.
So it appeared that Austin was saying to Dee, we're so, close now.
Yeah, final 6.
So you think that's what he's talking about? We're
Absolutely.
So close to the end?
Yeah.
Can't mess it up now?
Why did we lose it? We had the 4 that was going to control it all the way to the end, and now...
Well, not if they can't control themselves.
Yeah. And we see Dee saying, don't let emotions get in the way, and that she knows she's risking $1 million.
You cannot let your emotions get in the way.
Well,
that's what she was talking to Austin. I think she's talking specifically about her emotional feelings for him. That's how I took it.
Could be. Yeah, could be. Could just be emotions are high after that tribal council, and that they've made this turn, basically.
Because the truth is,
with everybody voting for Julie, they've messed up their 4.
Yeah. In order to get to the end, let's face it, Austin could be an easy target.
Yeah, although he's not going anywhere. He's
got an idol for sure.
That expires at the next tribal council.
Yes. So, but that's just final. There'll be 5 left, and he's got no protection after that unless he wins. And he hasn't won the way you would think he would, and yet people are afraid that he will because he's won enough.
It's the outward appearance of that, but the end result has been does not deliver.
Though I could easily see Jake pull in with the other 2 guys.
Whatever gets him further, yeah. But that's still goat. He's got to actually do something to be that wolf. And
well, he does.
Jake and Katurah can talk about blindsides, but
he
they have to
still
actually
gets
execute
considerably
one.
more money if he gets to the final three, period. So
Sure, yeah.
there is that.
Well, you do whatever you need to do to get to the final three, and sometimes you end up being a goat. That's just the way things break, because bad luck, because you made mistakes, because of all kinds of things. But if you don't get to make your case unless you get there, so
that's right.
Find a way to get there.
You can't win if you don't get there.
Yeah, find a way to get there, and then deal with the rest. That that's, you have to look at it that way. Everyone can't play a perfect game, and actually none of these people are playing a perfect game. So This is going to be, the way things are tracking right now, this is going to be one of the most strategically mediocre seasons that we've experienced from what I'm seeing. There's been moments, granted, Prope's got his great TV moments, and we're likely to get some more, but I don't know that we'll look back on this as a strategic clinic by any stretch of the imagination.
And I'm not even sure. I think a lot of it's going to depend on who wins the next immunity, which way this is going to go, and who's going to go with whom. Because there's so many different ways right now. And I think Katurah and Jake lucked out.
Yeah, that they turned on each other. They absolutely should not have done that. They gave in to that, and that they really messed up a much easier path, but that's been on track for everyone in this season.
But they've lasted long enough to get to the point where their vote is needed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. From that perspective. I was talking about the Reba 4.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Jake and Katurah. Yeah, they have a role to play
where they
potentially
are now.
Yeah.
And so they got to be really listening and paying attention, and
it's really
open to,
I think,
opportunities.
You can have Drew acting out if he wants to or whatever, and then it'll really depend on how Julie manages herself, I think, will be where it is.
Yeah, is she still going to want him out? But the truth is that even Austin and Dee might want him out too by now.
And you still have to acknowledge Julie's a huge threat. If you let her get there,
she is.
all that love, although we're not seeing it with Kelly and Kendra for sure.
Yeah, no.
They're not reacting to the Mama Julie love.
Though they might have a better reaction after this because
does not count.
Yeah, and she played the idol.
She thumped them pretty hard with this.
And especially once they found out that she basically took the idol from Austin.
She didn't take it. It was given.
I know.
And nobody there
kept it.
Nobody there knows that yet.
No,
they're not going to know that until one of the Reba 4.
Find out.
Yeah. Well, they might think less of it in that case. Well, they'll certainly think less of Austin, which I think we all should.
Yeah. Well, and that
he meant well.
Yeah, but it's like his thought process doesn't always follow through.
None of them have this whole season. It's been a wacky season so far.
And they do have a lot of emotions around, especially Dee and Austin, of course, but Julie and Drew too, And we can't discount the fact that, okay, it's a lot of days, a lot of lack of sleep, and a lot of no food.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
So
26 days? They're 21 right now?
Still, that's a long time when you're not eating and sleeping, and you're doing that much hard physical activity.
Although Dee has on multiple occasions said, and not too long ago, said she slept like a baby.
Well...
Not Julie, not so much, but remember Dee said that she was getting good rest.
Yeah, they've been sleeping down on the beach, though, right? They moved to the sand or something, haven't?
I don't know.
Some of them are sleeping on the beach.
That clip where Dee said she slept like a baby, and then Julie said that she was up all night because she was wrestling with her emotional demons. They were in the shelter when that conversation happened, as I recall.
Okay.
Hey, how about a JSFL update?
I can do that. There were 16 USBs lost. Hatter is still in first with 56 points. 146 people lost a safe point, including me. And 28 people earned a vote-off point.
Ah, bravo.
In the side challenge, Randy's in first with 52. With 50, Rebecca, 49, Jeremiah, 48, Robert, 47 Stacy, 46 Lisa Ray, 45 Drew, 43 Parker, and 42 Justin.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, where there were no ties.
We all separated out by 1 point also.
Well, yeah.
Right? It's a perfect sequence, 42 to 50.
Justin and, well, of course, the lower ones are separated by more points, but yeah.
Oh, we're missing a 44. Yeah. Okay. But still, quite the spread.
Yep.
Good stuff. Well, we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about this episode and how you think it's going to play out from here. Does Julie got a chance? Everybody was targeting her, and she just deflected all those votes. Are they going to give her a pass after this, or is she going to be next to go, or is Jake going to get a turn again? Looking forward to hearing from you. The voicemail number is 206-350-1547. I'm having to tell Joanne.
You saw that,
motioning.
Didn't you?
Yes, you were getting ready to answer my questions.
Ready to say something.
These are questions for the listener feedback show. So voicemail number is 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio and send that in, or send us an email and we'll read that in on your behalf. The email is Joanne and Stacy Show @gmail.com. Feedback's due noon Pacific time. We ask that you keep it in that 3-minute range. Looking for your assessment of how did your assessment of the Castaways change, if at all, after this week's gameplay? Who impressed you the most? Just some starter questions here. Who do you think's playing the best, and who is in jeopardy of being voted out next?
Who's the most strategic mind?
Well, you'd probably lean towards Drew, but
yeah, I would.
Again, there are no shining lights here. These are some
You're not supposed to answer my question.
These dim bulbs.
I wasn't asking.
Oh, it was a setup? Okay. Who's the most strategic player?
See how hard it is?
Yes. Well, you turned and looked at me and asked the question. So
you do that too.
I didn't do it when I was doing this.
You didn't because you're reading.
Yes. I have my reminder questions.
Yes.
We're looking forward to hearing from you. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Have a good one.